Little blue tank engine, built by... Yeah, not doing this again. Shall we just skip it and carry on?
Right, we are back on Trojan. We took her to the club. The valve gear is much better. But what didn't work is the injector. The injector would not pick up for love nor money, except down at £20, which is no use on the track. So I'm going to take it off. Going to take the clack out as well at the back end. We're going to strip it all down, pickle it, clean it, make sure there's no crap in the filter pot, make sure there's no air leaks on the valve or any of the plumbing, and put it back together again. Also going to check the clack. It's a commercial one, but we're going to check the things like the lift on it, check the seat, check the ball, all the rest of it. So first things first, this step is in the way, which is why it wasn't on for a long time. So we're going to whip that off if I can remember which Allen key it is. That one, there we go. There we go, there's the step off. A lot easier than it should be because I didn't put all the bolts back in it last time. Then the injector itself is 1, 2, 3 unions. Let's see if we can reposition. If I remember rightly, these are all 3/8 hex nuts. So we're going to do, and I'll explain as we go. So this is the steam feed side. This injector feeds backwards. So you've got the water coming in off the tap, off the filter pot, which we will also take out. Feeds in through the valve, through the control in the cab, into the water, into the bottom of the injector. The steam comes in from that side. So it's the steam feed we're taking off first. Then we'll take off the outlet. And then last but not least, we'll let the water feed go. There we go. Oh, didn't want that nut to come off here, but that's fine. The pipe's holding it in the right place for now. I'll explain why I'm trying to be careful in a minute. For those unfamiliar with injectors. I should explain. Injectors are black magic. They're amazing when they work, but when they don't, they are the most diabolical pieces of brass ever invented. Right, there's the injector off. Let's go lay it on the bench. Right, this is going to be a very quick, simplified primer on injectors. So let's label it first. So we've got the overflow. There's a clack in there. And you've got steam feed, water, outlet. Now, the bit of magic that goes on is that you're using steam pressure to pick up water and put it back into the boiler at greater than steam pressure to lift the clack that's further out here. And I don't know anyone that can actually fully explain how an injector works, but I get the rough idea. So, forgive my really bad drawing, anybody that does actually know how this stuff works. This is just my understanding of it. So you've got the in, which is that thread. That feeds into a cone. Then there's a second cone that has the water in. So this is steam, that's water. Then there's a gap with a cone going the other way. And up here you have the clack, so there's a ball in there that sits on the seat. I haven't drawn this quite right. Whose overflow comes out here. Something like that, I don't know, and you've got the cap in the top there. A little bit of thread, right. So that comes through. But anyway, that comes out the bottom there. As the overflow. And then you've got the other thread going out there. So essentially, so this cavity fills with water. Your steam comes through and picks it up, mixes with it, and dumps it out there where it goes out into the boiler. And it's all to do with, and then the water that wants to come in there has to be cold, and that one comes out hot 'cause it's got steam in it. It's something to do with the water has to condense all the steam into water. But because it's really hot, it wants to keep boiling anyway. Because you're speeding it up using, it's an ejector essentially. You're speeding the flow up so the pressure drops. But then you're mixing it with water. So you're adding volume to the lower pressure, which then slows down there. Because you've got more volume, when you as it slows down, you end up not slowing it down as much because you've got more volume. And so the pressure's higher than it was this side because you've got pressure and volume making higher pressure and volume. I don't know, it's all a bit of black magic, but essentially water, steam, mixes, goes out again. Any excess water, if you're putting too much water in, comes out the overflow because it kicks that ball out the way. There's a primer, but let me show you just how tiny these cones are because I don't know how loose they are in here. Not very. But so you can just see the cones protruding out at the end there. And you can't even see down through it. That would explain why it doesn't work, why the injector didn't pick up. This injector is blocked. So you should be able to see the paper down through there. And in case you think it's not bright enough, I've just held it up to a light and I still can't see through it. So I'm going to get I'm going to show you my cone removal tool, which is an idea I borrowed off of Richard Lincoln's actually, after a discussion at the park. Now Richard's made up a very nice little clamping thing that gets hold of it and pulls. Now I haven't got one of them because I don't deal with injectors enough to worry about that. But the alternate version that has worked for me over the years is a collet. It's nice even gripping force all the way around. And the cone fits in, but the thread doesn't. I mean, these are ER32s, but I don't suppose the collet system actually matters that much. Just everything I have is ER32. So it means I can put that in there. Tighten it up onto the outside of the cone. Only by hand. And then wiggle it. And out comes the cone. Now that is the delivery, so that's the steam inlet cone. Look at the size of that, like finger for scale here. So I'm going to take that out and lay that side. Because if you get them the wrong way around, that's that side, steam in cone. If you get them the wrong way around, it don't work. So they're different, slightly different shapes, as you will see. Twist and slightly wiggle. There's the delivery cone. Now the one cone you can't really get out, although I suppose the Richard Lincolns of the world can, is up the middle there. Okay, now you can see through it. You see that tiny pinprick of light in the middle there? That's what you should be able to see with the other two cones in. But because the third middle cone is still in there, so you've got that cone is that one is that one, and the third cone is well up in the body. Sometimes machined into the body, sometimes pushed in. So I'll just give it, and if I give it a rattle, you can hear the that clack ball floating around in there, which is in this section here under the cap, which we can test. Good. Cool, that clack ball appears fine. Right, so blown that out, and look how much more light you can see through there already. Let's have a look through this one. Can we see anything through that one? Yeah, we can now see through that one. How about this one? Ah, interestingly, this one does have a shim behind it as well. Careful not to lose that shim. Can we see through this one? This one is not shimmed. We can now see through that one. So before I put it back together, I'm going to use this stuff, white vinegar, and a clean pot, hence stressing the word clean. Because you've seen how small the parts are. Going to let these sit in white vinegar. I used to use brown vinegar, but it stains it and leaves deposits behind if you're not careful. But we're going to sit that in there. I'm going to use these to sit them at the right end, so I don't get them the wrong way around. You can sit kind of, I don't know if you can already see, there's a, oh, I've knocked it. Ignore that, sorry if I made you feel seasick. You can kind of see there's bubbles forming around it already. So that vinegar is just going to clean off any bits of scale, or most of the scale, but anything else that's sitting on there will loosen. But in the meantime, this is the filter pot. That's the tank connection. And you got the drain plug under the bottom. Works to drain the saddle tank very nicely, actually. And then this cap removes, which I'm going to do with the aid of the vise. And we can have a look at the state of the filter in there. So there's the cap. It looks like it might want to clean up anyway. We'll put a new bit of PTFE on that as well. And then down in there you can see the filter, which definitely a bit of scale on it. Might not be fine enough, actually. I might replace it with some finer stuff at some point, but it does at least keep the most of the crap out of there. So I'm going to take the plug out just to aid access. And we get another clean pot. There's no point cleaning it in a dirty pot and then just trapping dirt in the clean side. You're only going to use vinegar, white vinegar. Or muck floating out of that. Out of supposedly the clean side as well. So there's that to think about. A bit more vinegar needed. Didn't quite cover it. There we go. So I'm now going to leave both of those in there to pickle and soak for a little while. And then we'll turn attention to the clack on the back head and check its lift and things like that. So refitted now, nothing too major there. I didn't bother filming it because it's just the same as taking it off. Pot's back under there with the filter back in it, nice and clean. Nice freshly pickled and cleaned injector. She appears to be running well. Definitely got her bark back. Now we just have to run those eccentrics back in. But I think we're sorted for Boxing Day. Oh, and the injector that we cleaned appears to be working very well. Time will tell.